Welcome to the Candidates Dialogue 2021. I'm Karen Kowalix. I'm here today with the candidates running for the City of Aurora School Board, and we will begin with the candidates telling us a little bit about themselves. Mr. Duncan, would you like to begin?
Sure. My name is Sam Duncan. I am a parent of two children, ages 13 and 10 in the Aurora City School District. My wife is a teacher in the district as well. I myself teach classes in history at various institutions of higher ed throughout the area. I've taught at Kent State, Case Western, Tri-C, Cleveland State, and even a class at Hiram one year. So, beyond that, my experience before education, I was a combat veteran with the 82nd Airborne Division, and we love the Aurora City School District. Our family has tried to be engaged and involved in many ways in the district, from everything from sports and recreation, swimming, chess club, quiz bowl. Our kids are just they're big boosters for the Aurora City schools, and we're very happy to be in the district. It's one of the greatest districts in the state of Ohio and one of the top in the nation, in fact. So a lot of my experience is a wide range and a big variety, from the military to restaurant management back in way before my military days, to education. At the heart of it has always been an idea, a compulsion to want to serve, and that is why I'm running. I feel like I have talents that would be appreciated and useful in the service of others, and I want to put those to work for the city school district in Aurora.
Thank you. Mr. Kohansky.
Hi, I'm Jerry Kohansky, and I'm a retired corporate executive with experience in the aerospace, energy, mining, and special machinery areas. Currently an adjunct professor of English at Kent State University, Geauga. Was born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio, and also I've lived in New York and Michigan, and also worked there too. I've received a bachelor's degree magna cum laude from John Carroll University, and also possess an MBA in industrial management from John Carroll and an MA in English literature from Case Western Reserve University. I've been on the Aurora School Board for 24 years, and for the past 22 years I've been elected to the position of board president, and prior to that served as vice president. I currently serve on the City of Aurora Tax Incentive Review Committee, and have also been a past citizen member of the city's Economic Development, Service, and Comprehensive Plan Committees. I was also honored to have been selected as the Aurora Chamber of Commerce Citizen of the Year, and was appointed Grand Marshal of the 2017 4th of July Parade. Over the years, I've been involved on a volunteer basis in many school fundraising activities, and I am currently a member of the Aurora Ultimate Boosters and the Aurora Historical Society. My wife Mary and I have 3 adult children who are all graduates of Aurora High School, and we have 3 grandchildren, a 7th grader at Harmon, a freshman at Aurora High School, and a 5-year-old preschooler. My family and I have lived in Aurora very happily for 36 years.
Thank you. We'll move on to our first question. Should the school nickname Green Men be changed to something gender neutral? Please explain your answer. Mr. Kohansky?
That's a very interesting question. I've thought about changing the Green Men name, but not because of any gender issues. I mean, not seriously, but I've always thought of Little Green Men. But actually, I think the Green Man has been a long, proud tradition. And when we have our female teams play, they proudly wear the moniker of Lady Green Men. And that Lady Green Men moniker is treated with great respect.
All right, thank you. Mr. Duncan.
Yeah, I think I would have to. The Green Men to me looks like the Goblin, the Green Goblin from Spider-Man. So if I were going to change it, that would be the reason. It wouldn't be for. I don't know that there has been any sort of conflict or contestation over the name, so I'm not really sure it would be a solution without a problem. So I'm actually in agreement with Mr. Kohansky on that. Until there was somebody who felt that it was marginalized by that name, or that it became a problem, then of course you want to listen to those voices and take that in. But I don't know that that is even something that's been voiced. So.
All right. Moving on to the next question. Regardless of your thoughts about mask and or vaccine requirements in the schools, the topic can be very divisive. How can the school board be a uniting force on the subject? Mr. Duncan.
Right. So I think that the school board has a unique position within the community. And it has a unique position because at the end of the day, the school board is there to provide the space, provide the resources, provide the faculty and experience to help educate our youth. Part of that education, I think, means learning to discern sources, discern evidence, to validate expertise and expert knowledge. And that is how I would really sort of position myself to weigh in on that topic to the extent that the school board wants to weigh in on that topic. I think that, of course, you have multitude of different inputs from concerned voices in the community that range the spectrum of opinions on this. But at the end of the day, I think to make the case to our students that what they're studying in their AP biology exams, what they're doing in their homework in science and classes, that matters, right? Then I think we have to model for them what it looks like to show a healthy respect for people who have expert knowledge and expertise in their recommendations in the midst of what we know is a terrible circumstance and nobody wants, and look, we all know nobody wants mask mandates, nobody wants these sort of infringements, or not infringements, but requirements. But when we're called on to serve and to do what's best for the community at large, I think we can model that for our students, what that looks like. And I think that's important because they see as much outside the classroom as what we're trying to provide for them and teach them inside the classroom. So let's model that.
Thank you. Mr. Kohansky.
Okay, well, for the last year and a half, I have lived with the mask issue. Today's school districts face the challenge of effectively educating children during a pandemic. Recently have seen in the news the last couple of days where the school board, National School Boards Association, has asked the federal government to start looking at the issues of terrorism being affected by certain individuals at school board meetings and against school board members and administrators. But remote learning has proven to be inefficient and damaging to students' academic progress. Aurora started this year with a mask optional policy, and our superintendent developed a 20-point metric system to try and provide a system that would provide on and off ramps for mandatory masking, because we know no one really likes mandatory masking. The rapid rise of the Delta variant caused our schools to require mandatory masking much sooner than the board anticipated on the 20-point system. Our community is sharply divided over the two masking policies, and parents are sharply divided over the protective value of masks. I support and understand the position of parents who want the right to make the decision on whether or not to have their children wear masks to school. People have to understand, though, that the situation has been complicated by a lack of federal and state regulations and constantly changing and confusing statements that have forced the decision-making on these issues down to the local board level. This has placed local boards in the unenviable position of making judgments based on the best evidence they can obtain from medical professionals, scientists, and others, while complying with state and county Board of Health regulations regarding quarantining of students who have been exposed to the virus.
Thank you. Moving on. Other than pay rate, what is the best way to keep quality teachers and administrators in the Aurora City School District? Mr. Kohansky.
Okay, that's a good question. During my 22 years as board president, we have gained a lot of community support from a number of reasons, and these reasons help to attract good and excellent, actually in our case, excellent teachers and administrators. We've consistently improved our academic and extra and co-curricular activities from an average to an elite status during that time period. And we're currently ranked in the top 1 or 2% of the 614 districts in the state, and our high school is nationally ranked in the top 1%. At the same time, our property tax rates are among the lowest in Northeast Ohio. So many potential educators for us recognize the value proposition that we give to our community and the support we have from our community as a result. And of course, the top performance and low taxes lead to a great value and also increase real estate values and attract families to the growing community. And by attracting, hiring, and professionally developing outstanding teachers and instructional staff, in addition to having a succession plan for the development of strong administrators, we have grown and maintained a culture of excellence and stability. Our culture and our approach does not change every other year, every time a new superintendent comes in, and our teachers know that they will be afforded many professional development opportunities to make themselves more valuable not only to their students but also to themselves professionally and to grow. Also, we have a very competitive wage structure. We rank somewhere in the top 10 paid teacher groups in the state of Ohio for 614 districts.
Thank you.
So other than pay rate, I would probably argue that the best way to recruit, the top tier teachers, the most experienced, most highly qualified into the district would be workload. One of the things that we've seen over the past few years, Aurora is growing, and that's a good thing, right? But with every new residential development, and like Mr. Kohansky said, those new families moving in with younger kids, it's started to create burdens in our classrooms. We have our academically gifted students who meet in what are essentially closet spaces. Schools have cannibalized areas of the library to make class space. These are problems, and it's increasing class sizes, and so far we haven't really met the hiring needs, projected hiring needs, to be able to alleviate that. We all know 50 years of pedagogical literature and education studies all say that classroom size is the #1 thing related to academic development and academic performance, but it also is what weighs on teachers, and it weighs on them and creates a system of burnout, and we definitely don't want that. Like Mr. Kohansky said, we have a tremendous teaching staff, and I applaud his service and his efforts over his tenure on the school board, because my God, Aurora is just a terrific school district, and part of that is the fact that he has been a direct part of hiring over the years, and I'm very grateful and appreciative of that. But I think moving forward, I think there are challenges that the Aurora School District is going to have to make in terms of infrastructure, space, and creating a culture of professional respect, including teachers in the decision-making processes, the administrative level as much as possible. And I think all of those things will create a culture that will be very, very enticing for our most qualified teachers.
Thank you. That now concludes the question portion of our program. Each candidate will now have 2 minutes to present their final thoughts. And Mr. Duncan, go ahead.
Okay. I always, when I think about education, I always come back to the words of William Butler Yeats, who said, "Education is not the filling of a pail, but the lighting of a fire." And I think it's really the job of the Board of Education to provide the kindling and oxygen for that fire, right? And we do that through a number of ways. And like I said, the Aurora City School District has been phenomenal at doing that in the past. But we are seeing signs that the overcrowding, that new conditions, new circumstances, new contexts are being foisted upon the school system. And that has shown effects, right? We've dropped in math proficiency from the mid-90 percentile range down to 86 percentile range over the past, since 2016. We've dropped in reading proficiency over the same time period. So there have been some chinks in the armor. And I think that what I would hope to bring to that as a board member is a voice of advocacy for proactive planning, right? We can't really react to things. We have to really be proactive as a district and try to meet these challenges before they become crises. And you know, my past experience, if one thing I learned in the military is how to plan for contingencies and all sorts of them, whether that's combat operations or humanitarian relief aid or whatever the case may be. And so I think I would bring some talent to that, and I hope I would be able to serve in that capacity. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kohansky.
Okay, I agree with Mr. Duncan that proactive planning is very important, and we do quite a bit of planning. Unfortunately, sometimes there are other factors that the public is not aware of that prevent us from getting everything we want as soon as we need it. But the Aurora schools are constantly improving, innovating, and developing, and are frequently benchmarked by other districts for best practices. Just to indicate, people talk about, well, we want to see change, but I guess I have to ask, what would you change? Would you change the 1% top academic performance in a nationally ranked high school that have risen from mediocre to elite? Or we have the renovation of an athletic stadium from a mud pit with rickety stands to a first-class AstroTurf facility. A lot of our newcomers don't even remember that. The construction of a state-of-the-art elementary school, Layton School, the expansion of state minimum constructed high school to one with a new gymnasium, a well-equipped weight room, a large student commons, and 8 new classrooms accommodating science and art labs, and a new library. We may need more, but we have done that. We provide Chromebooks to all our students. The initiation of AP courses, which we didn't have when I started on the board, that provide students with college credit. Independent study classes that encourage student development in the arts and sciences. The development of student service organizations that connect us with the community. A Connections for Success program that helps at-risk students to graduate. We are a district that has won perfect financial audits awards from the state for many consecutive years, a district that has one of the lowest tax rates and highest academic performance ratings in Northeast Ohio, and I could go on, but I leave you with this. I have 24 years experience helping to bring these things to fruition. Please re-elect me on November 2nd and allow me to continue the progress. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us as we learn a little bit more about the City of Aurora's school board candidates. Don't miss any of the candidates' dialogue on Community Focus. And remember, please vote. Thank you.